with Gentiles, he was considered ceremonially unclean and unfit to participate in worship. And furthermore, if you had dealings with him, you were ceremonially unclean and you were unfit to participate in worship. If you were involved with him, some of the taint of his activities would rub off on you. Why he became a tax collector, we don't know. But he was. And perhaps his reaction to the rejection that he had experienced spurred him on to become the chief of tax collectors. He was a wealthy individual. He was a successful man in the field that he had gone into, even if it was to the Jews a disgusting occupation. The one thing he could say about it, I may have a sorry job, but I'm good at it. And the people hated him even more. The Jewish people hated him even more because he was wealthy. And he had gotten wealthy because of taxing them. He was wealthy, but he was far from happy. And we know that because he keeps looking. He had no friends among the Jews. And Zacchaeus couldn't expect to have any friendships among the Romans. Now, he was doing their work for them. He was collecting taxes that the Romans had levied on the people. But the Jews saw him as a traitor, and so did the Romans. They recognized him as a collaborator. They knew what his own people thought of him, and they didn't think much better because as a Roman official, mainly Roman soldiers, would you trust a traitor? Would you trust a turncoat? I mean, he's betrayed his own people. What's going to stop him from betraying you? Do you want to trust this man? Absolutely not. So while they would have business dealings with him, they didn't want anything else to do with him. At any level you want to examine, Zacchaeus was alone. Even within his own self. The terrible thing about feeling alone was that Zacchaeus, in the eyes of his own faith, would have believed that God would have turned his back on Zacchaeus. God wasn't even available to him as far as Zacchaeus was concerned. And the sad fact is, he probably believed that he deserved it. That he didn't deserve to be accepted. He didn't deserve to be trusted. He didn't deserve to have any friends. He didn't deserve to belong. He didn't deserve to feel any sense of peace or any sense of compassion from anyone at any time. He probably felt as bad about himself as others felt toward him. Why do I say that? Because he came to Jesus looking for something that he didn't have, and something that his wealth couldn't buy for him. What a terrible feeling that must have been. You know what? You meet Zacchaeus every day. You see him every day. You see him as you go to work. You see him among your friends. You see him among your neighbors. You may even see him within your family. Yeah. These people, they're your neighbors, they're co-workers. They made choices in their lives that they regret. They've slipped into patterns of living. They've slipped into sin, and it's torn them down and used them up. They know the pain of emptiness. They know the longing that they feel for something to fill the void, the hole that exists within the center of their souls. They believe that everyone is turned away from them and that even God doesn't recognize them anymore. For that matter, you might know exactly what this feels like because you may have this same ache in your heart. That which Zacchaeus felt every day of his life within his heart and his soul. But that's not where the story ends now, is it? Right. That's not where the story ends. Because, like Zacchaeus, we and they, those who have turned away from God, every one of us has heard a word of hope. Zacchaeus heard of a man who taught the way to the kingdom of God. He heard that all who came were accepted and openly received with love and compassion. He decided that he had to go to this man. What kind of emotions would he have been feeling? Maybe he tried to minimize his expectations. Perhaps he told himself that even this traveling rabbi wasn't going to live up to the claims and the stories that were told about him. At least, even if he didn't live up to those claims, at least he could enjoy the spectacle of seeing all of these foolish people who were clamoring around after this man, all of these foolish people who were crowding in on this rabbi, this Jesus. We could see them make fools of themselves, and maybe he'd feel a little bit better if he could laugh at somebody else for a change. Maybe this would be worth a laugh or two. You may know something about this kind of resistance too. The ways that you might try to keep yourself safe when you're afraid to trust. Or you've seen it in the lives of someone that you know and for whom you care, when they too are afraid to trust because they've been hurt. And hurt all too often. When they don't think they can stand for one more rejection. When they don't think they'll survive another rebuff. But still, they feel it. And if there's the slightest hope, if there's the glimmer of hope, then they've got to make the effort. Because staying away isn't really an option for them. Like Zacchaeus, they come. And Zacchaeus, when he saw the crowds around him, around Jesus, I think he probably felt as much afraid as he did anything else, not just because of rejection, but because of his physical safety. I mean, this crowd was excited. They were emotionally aroused by the presence of Jesus. And what would they do if they recognized this one who was a religious outcast? Would they turn from a crowd stirred up by religious fervor into a mob born on by bloodlust? After all, how dare he, Zacchaeus, step into the